Hey!
Hi!
How
Yeah!
are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's so
I'm
good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining me today on Living for Sis.
Of course, anything for excuse to get myself together a little bit.
Yes, yes. I wish I would have gotten a look on or something, but I literally woke up at 12 and I was just
Oh,
like, and it's weird because this is the only thing. It's so I take an hour to get ready to do my makeup, but I woke up
yeah,
at
yeah,
12.
yeah.
I was like, there's no way. And it's
But you still look so fierce,
Thank
so.
you, Boo. You too. You are Kathryn. You are so beautiful to me. Like I am like that. She is that bitch.
I am
But I
so
love
flattered.
you.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Okay, so let's get started. So tell me a little bit about what's going on, how is this affecting you,
hmm
where you at, what's tea?
Oh man, it's so crazy. I feel like I've been trying to keep a calendar. I'm like, has it been 30 days yet? I think
Yes,
it
yeah.
has been 30
It
days, which is
it has.
so wild. But yeah, I was doing company at the time,
Mm-hmm,
and I was an understudy, am an understudy in that production,
mm-hmm,
am
mm-hmm,
because it's gonna
hmm
come back. We're gonna come
Yes,
back.
yes.
Ah.
Can't wait.
And yeah, it was just crazy. I feel like I'm really glad that our producers and everybody on the team was very transparent about what was going on. And even before we got fully shut down, it was like, okay, it was a collaborative process. It was
Mm-hmm.
like we want feedback from the actors, from the crew, from everybody who's working on the show about what can we do to keep each other safe, and what is the best way to go on doing the
Right.
show but having everyone feel safe doing it.
Right,
So
right,
that
right.
was a conversation that was having. But yeah, and then it all got shut down,
Yeah.
and we all were like, "Oh, crazy." But yeah, I'm glad that it did, because I feel like
Right.
everyone is safer for it, and it might take a little bit longer than we're thinking,
Yeah.
but at least we know when we come back, everyone's gonna be safe to come back, and then we can all
Right.
enjoy the experience together. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
people are going to be craving that. I get so flipped when people are like, Broadway, it's going to be so hard to come back, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think people are going to
Yeah.
be craving
Yeah.
a
The art and
chance.
live theater, yeah.
Yes,
And
just like
storytelling.
they're doing right now, watching
Ex-
Netflix.
Exactly. That's all we're doing. But let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
So are you kind of happy with this break? From the arts and from
Mm.
theater and things like that? Is it for me, I'm kind of I don't want to think about it. I'm
Yeah.
taking this break.
I,
What about
a
you?
little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to look
Mm-hmm.
at it as a gift, right? I've been
Right.
saying to myself, I'm like, ooh, it'd be so nice to take a couple months off, and then bam.
No, bitch.
So it has been kind of nice, and to be
hmm
able to focus on things that, my own personal projects, and try to learn new skills.
Right.
So that's been really nice. So yeah, it's been nice to have a little bit of time for myself and my own thoughts.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, what about you?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think that it was just a lot. I had gone I moved in September officially,
Mm-hmm.
and I had been going, I want to say auditioning pretty much. It was there was points where I had 5 auditions, one audition every day, and it was
Yeah.
called, and it was all this stuff, and trying to prepare for that and learning all this material,
Mm-hmm.
and then on top of that, trying to keep my social game up and be around and go
Yes.
see shows and being around and working and
Yeah.
all that. So it was crazy. I was just like, oh shit. And so I've been wanting to come home really bad,
Yeah.
but I was I don't know what span of time I'll be able to do that. So I'm so glad that it happened. And in the moment, when it happened, I was like, yes, this is it. But then I got home and everything was shutting down. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I was
Yeah.
running away from it, but it caught up to me. So then I was like, okay, well, what can I do in the midst of all this to keep me going? And how a lot of people are talking about you don't have to take this time to be creative. You don't have to
Yeah. Yeah.
feel and I was like, yes, I do want to do that in a way, but also still keep me up, and
Yes.
keep Miss Sis up because she was finna die.
Honey, you
So I
could
had
never, though. You
right,
could
right.
never.
So I had to bring Sis back in a way, and
Yeah.
this is beautiful. I'm so happy I am doing this. This is the best the best idea I could ever have. This is
It's
amazing.
so cool, because then you're talking to so many different
Yeah.
people and
Yeah.
getting different ideas about what people are
Exactly,
doing. And
exactly,
yeah,
and like what to pull from, and like and also use my platform to further it for other people who are like
yeah,
either like at my same like pace or ahead of me or behind me, trying to figure it out. It's like we all can take bits and pieces of how people get to a certain point or how people live for themselves, and
yeah.
what people do to keep their inner peace. So yeah, I
Mhm,
think it's
mhm.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so let's start from the very beginning, since the very
Yes.
good place to start.
Oh God.
Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about,
Ooh.
because you are such a creative person, and so, like, I don't want to say I don't want to say different, but like you, like the way in which you present your art, especially like yourself, like it's such a like a very what is that word, like close to you, like your brand is very like Kathryn Allison, like she does what she does, and it's
Thank
really
you.
cool. So how do you like do you feel like your childhood sparked that, or like what was that like how do you feel like that took you to here?
Interesting. I've never been asked that question before or
Mhm,
been
okay.
given that feedback. So thank you,
Mm,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Um, I had a great childhood. My
Yes.
parents were,
I
my
love to hear
parents,
that.
um, my parents are super awesome. And like,
Mhm.
every child has like their tantrum phase, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But they were great, and especially when they saw my talent and you know I was like, this is something I really want to do. They
Hmm.
were really amazing about fostering it, but not in a
Right,
way that was like super hands-on. They were like, we
right,
know nothing about this, so we're going to try and like steer you in the direction of
right,
people who maybe have more knowledge.
right,
And
right,
they
right.
were also really adamant about, even before I decided that I wanted to be an artist, a singer, whatever,
Hmm.
they were very adamant about always taking me to pieces of dance or theater or movies or
Hmm.
anything that had people of color at the center of the
Yes,
plot line.
yeah,
So when
yeah,
I saw Beauty and the Beast on Broadway, Tony Braxton
yes,
was Belle.
yes,
Like
yes, yeah.
everything was super black or POC
Hmm.
forward, and so I feel like that just really um, like centered how I like to present my art. Like I really
Right,
try when I can to
right,
have a lot of different types of people and different sizes and all of this
right,
stuff in
right,
what I create because that's important to me.
right, right.
But yeah, I feel like it has to do a lot with that, about them being
Wow,
very conscious about what they
what they're
showed me.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've talked to them about it and they were like, that's so funny that you've caught on because did that they did that very
Yes,
intentionally,
they
which
knew
I was
they
like, great,
agreed.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And I think there's also something about seeing both of my parents worked all my way through
Hmm.
school,
Hmm.
into college, and I don't know, that was very inspiring to me that
Yeah,
they, you know, had their own careers and what they wanted to do, and they were very specific about it, and they never let that blend with their relationship or our home life, which I thought
right.
was really interesting.
Wow, wow.
Like work life was work life and home life was home life.
That's
Um,
important.
but they were, they're just such driven people, and
Right,
I always found that really inspiring, and I always wanted to emulate that, and I still
right,
want to
right,
emulate that. They're so
right.
hardworking, and yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's
I don't
beautiful.
know.
That's beautiful. I feel that. Well, okay, so it's interesting you brought up like the POC, like at the center of the plot lines and things like that.
Hmm.
So the way that I've been taking like my viewership of art and viewership of like anything is
Hmm.
like I am very conscious about what I watch and view on TV and in theater and things like that. Like I don't like seeing, not I don't like, but I make a conscious choice to not see things if people of color, especially black people, are not involved in
Yeah.
a big way anymore, because I'm like, well, how can I support something that doesn't support me? And also, not saying that something doesn't necessarily support me, but they're not trying to, but
Yeah.
also like I want to get to that first. Like if there's like a
Yeah.
list of TV shows I have to watch, the stories that have like Black people are at the
Yes.
top of my list. Then I work my way
Yes.
down, and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
like Broadway shows, I'm like, well, I cannot go see this show yet because I have not seen. You know, let me make sure I've seen all my other people and supported
Uh-huh.
them. You know, first before. So it's very interesting, and I feel like sometimes guilty about that, or when I say things, people kind of look at me weird. But I'm like, I mean, I'm not trying to. If what there's only so much I can take from it. So let me get
Yeah.
what I can get first, and then we'll come back around to, you know, to just pleasure viewing, or,
Yes.
you know, comedy or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
What would you say are some like defining and monumental moments for you, like in your life, that you have sat down and been like, wow, I'm proud of myself, like, whew, like I did that.
Wow. I would definitely say the first thing that comes to mind is my Joe's Pub concert last
Yeah,
year that
yes,
happened around
yes,
this time. That
yeah.
was definitely like, wow. Because I remember, oh my God, this is gonna be so embarrassing.
No, no,
But
no. Say
but
it.
so the first show I ever saw at Joe's Pub was a Matt Doyle concert when I
Mm.
was in high school,
Hmm,
which is
hmm.
weird to say now because I work with him now.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember being in that space and being like, I want it was like one of those moments where it's so clear where you're like,
Mm.
I want to do this. Like I
Right.
want to do a show in this space in this way. And like, man, I hope I do it. So the fact that they accepted my proposal and that I was
Yes.
actually doing, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I really like, and I was proud of myself. Like I was like, I
Yes.
told myself 5 years after college I'm gonna make an album, and I
Right,
did that in that time frame. Like
right,
I put
right.
it out. I did and yeah. So that was really a crowning moment for me.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, that's like the most recent one.
Hmm.
Um, and then I guess like obviously booking Aladdin was like what?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yes, yeah.
Never in a million years did I think that it would happen that quickly, but I'm so grateful for that
Hmm.
experience.
Right.
Um, geez, what else? Those are like the two like that I'm like,
Okay. Well,
man,
I feel
yeah.
you. Yeah, I mean, the both of them are very beautiful. Like, I'm blessed. I watched the vids on the Joe Pubs concert, but I definitely happy I got to see you in Aladdin. I think I saw you in Aladdin 3 times.
Whew, I hope I was
Yes.
good on the
No,
other two.
they were all fantastic. They were all fantastic. They were all amazing. And I'm blessed I got to see you every time. But
Oh,
okay, so let's talk about like what do you think is your it factor? Like if it,
oh.
you know, what brings the boys and the girls to the yard for Miss Kathryn Allison? You know, like what is it? Like whether it be a casting room or anything like in life, like
Yeah.
what makes you special?
Oh Lord, you are getting down to the nitty
Yes.
gritty. Um, that is a really interesting question. Um I feel like I've gone through phases
Hmm.
of what that is. And I think the thing that makes that when I feel most successful in
Hmm.
a room
Hmm.
is when I just like truly unabashedly come in as myself, which is like the hardest thing to do.
Right,
But
right, right.
like meaning, dressing the way I want to dress that
Hmm.
day,
Hmm.
um, singing the songs that I want to sing, and just also like um, I don't know, that's not necessarily like the it factor,
No, I
but
feel you. I feel you.
but I,
Uniqueness, being yourself. Yeah.
yeah, and I think there is also an element of I think I shock people when
Mm,
I
yes.
come in
Yeah.
the room because
Hmm.
I think they see what's on the outside
Yes. Yeah.
and they expect to hear something come out of my
Girl.
voice that
Yeah.
reflects
Yeah.
what is on
What
the
the outside?
outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I open my voice to sing, I think open my mouth to sing, I
Yeah.
think they're like, oh, she's giving us something that we did not expect.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know.
I feel that. I feel
I
that.
think that's, and yeah.
In life, what do you think that is? Like more so, like
Hmm.
in the world, you know, walking down the street, what do you think could be a factor for like turning heads, or what, like, you know, your best friend, like why would your best friend say they're best friends with you? You know, what do you bring to the table?
Ooh. I guess my I don't know, my joy. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
radiate like some sort of like
Mm-hmm. Energy.
joy
Mm-hmm.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um I also there's like a part of me that's like that has like a don't care vibe sometimes.
Okay.
When I'm
Okay.
walking down the
Yeah.
street, you're like,
Yeah.
no, I look fly, I
Yeah.
feel fly,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
try and come at me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, and I think like there's I I have an openness too. Like I love
Okay.
to listen
Yeah.
to people, and I feel like sometimes that can get me into trouble because
Mm.
they
Mm.
see the openness and
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
vulnerability and they're like, let me go right in
No, they're
there.
like, I
And
got
I'm
you,
like,
bitch. Yeah. I feel
but no,
that.
yeah, but no, I like to be as open and as honest with people as possible, and I
Yeah.
feel like people can see that. Hopefully,
Okay.
I don't know.
Beautiful. Yes. Okay. 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 I feel that. What are some things in life that you cannot live without, and some people that you cannot live without, and some people that you have to live without, and things that you have to live without?
Oh man, well, I can't live without my family
Okay.
for sure, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't live without some moisturizer.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, no, but for me, I cannot be around people who are not honest
Mm.
100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is
Mm-hmm.
like my biggest pet peeve, and
Yeah.
people who are who waste time.
Mm. Yeah. I feel that. I feel
Oh,
that. I feel that.
and that doesn't matter. Like it could be like with their ego, they waste
Yeah.
time,
Yeah. Yeah.
or like, or truly like not taking pride in whatever project we're doing or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, what else? I don't know. I just want to be around people who enjoy life as much as
Right.
possible. Like
Right.
that's why
Right.
I feel like you are so successful and vibrant, because like people just want to be around you all the time. Like look at that smile. Are you kidding me? Who doesn't want to be around that?
Girl, I
You
don't know,
know?
bitch. Sometimes I don't want to be around me. I'll be like, oh, bitch, you doing a lot.
No, but like I feel like we have so many things. I mean, at times things can be glim and glub and like, oh,
CCF. We love to see that.
and sometimes life can be very grim,
Uh-huh.
and we have all those moments when we're in our low, but it's always the people that you surround yourself with. Like if you're
Yeah.
around good people that can lift
Hmm.
you up out of it, and if you
Right.
trust them, like that's everything. So that's why I always want to be around people who are joyful, but also have like such drive. Like I feel like
Yes.
that's why I was so lucky to be in Aladdin, because they showed me that they had been in the show. A lot of those people
Hmm.
at that time had been in the show for 5 years already, like from
Wow.
Toronto to Seattle.
Wow.
And the
Yeah.
fact that they were like, yeah, like let's all go take an acting class together. You want to be in my short film? Hey, you can do this. Why don't we record
Yes.
this? I was like, y'all are not stopping
Yeah.
for nobody. Like
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
more and
Yeah.
more. And I was like, wow. And I've really taken that with me far beyond, and I will always take that with me. So yeah, people who are full
Beautiful.
life and like want to learn always, you
Beautiful.
know.
Yeah. I feel that. I totally feel that. Um, what am I trying to thought? I had it. So talk to me about like, okay, so like when you have a bad day, like how
Hmm.
do you turn that around? Like if something
Oh,
bad happens, are you the type of person, and you can be honest, like some
yeah.
people I know, like they sit in it, like they like, I'm mad and I'm gonna be mad for hours. Other people like myself, I feel like if I'm mad and it's something especially that's out of my control, I'm like, all right, there's nothing I can do. Let me keep it pushing, bitch. How do you feel about that?
It's definitely that one.
Mm-hmm.
If it's nothing, it's hard because if it's something that hits very personally,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, then it's definitely something I have to take a step back, and I really have
Right.
to be like, let me take my space before I say something I regret,
Right. 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 Right.
and leave the situation, or do what I have to do. But
Right.
if it's something that's out of my control, I'm like, I keep it pushing. Like, there's no,
Mm-hmm.
I have no time to waste worrying about something that doesn't concern me. Or if it
Right.
does, it's just like, I
Right.
gotta,
Right.
if they want to do
Mm-hmm.
that, you do you, boo boo. I'm gonna be over here doing me.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But yeah, for me, like, the hard part is going back into, like, I feel like the tough time about this being self-isolating and
Yes.
is
Yes.
like going through past memories and being like, man, like, could I've done something
Oh my
different
God.
there, or
Yes. Yeah.
could I have, like, did I say the wrong thing, like, oh man, I can't believe I said that. Like, that's the
Yeah.
hardest part for me, is like being like, that's in the past, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
change what was in the past, and like,
Yeah.
you have to move forward. And if it's something that is really weighing on your heart, then maybe this is the time to reach out to that person and
Yeah.
like clear the air. And if it can't be cleared, then that's fine. Like,
Right.
you
Right.
both have to step away and be like,
Right.
that's okay. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's the hardest part for me right now, in terms of like trying to like be like, that's in the past, that's in the past, you can't change the past,
Yes.
you
I
can't
feel like
change it.
I feel like I literally have like I like opened up a closet and I have like all these like these this like conveyor belt, like at the dry cleaners when it like goes round and round.
Yes,
Like I feel like I
yes,
have all these things I have to deal with, and so I'm like every day it's opening the closet. I like what's gonna be on my mind today,
yes.
and it's just popping up like wildfires in my mind. But I'm like, give me some time.
Please,
And I'm like,
please.
I've turned to God so much, and I'm like, I just gotta talk to you. I gotta help me cleanse my
Mm-hmm.
spirit, cleanse it, because I just like I don't know what to do. I don't know, because I don't know why, but I have this thing to where I just like get fixated on something and it just
Mm-hmm.
sticks. Like, and it can be in the
Yes.
past, it can be in the future, And I'm just like, oh, like what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm going through one right now in my
Okay.
head that I've been
Yeah.
like stuck on for like 2 weeks, being
Yeah.
like, was I too much of a bitch in that
Oh.
situation? Did I mess this
Yes.
up? Was I da-da-da-da? Like,
Yes.
oh, and I'm just like, girl, like, you can't, it's done.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
done. And like, again, I'll talk to my therapist about it on Thursday.
Yeah. I wish. I wish. I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
Do you has there been a point like recently or like any time when you've like been like I'm giving up, like I'm throwing in the towel, like this is it, like I can't do
Mm.
this, like what about that?
Mm-hmm. I would say legit last year around this time, I had
Mm-hmm.
just finished my concert and I was on like the highest of high that I had
Mm-hmm.
ever
Mm-hmm.
been.
Mm-hmm.
And then something happened and I probably went into like the deepest depression I've ever had in
Wow.
my life.
Right. Right.
And I just kind of like nosedived, and I think um I I feel like I like lost myself for a minute, and I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can. I was like, not only can I do my job that I love doing so much,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
feeling confident in myself. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I'm producing the work that I feel like I'm letting my castmates down. Like, I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
terrible. I'm yeah, it was not a great time.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
But we got to the other end, and I
Yes.
think it
Yeah.
had to do with something of like, I felt like I had been holding on to a piece of myself
Mm-hmm.
for a long time that I really needed to shed away, but I felt
Mm-hmm.
like it was my job that was keeping that part
Mm-hmm.
together. And I
Wow.
was like, well,
Yeah.
I have to keep that part because like that's the reason why they hired me, and da 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 da
Right.
da. And it's
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
people change. Like,
Right.
3.5 years, 4 years is a long time. That is a whole college career. That is a whole
Yeah.
high. People change.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
don't have to stay the same person. Like, you can
Right.
still do your job and do it well and change,
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a really hard period of
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had, again, I had a lot of people that were there for me during that time.
Right.
And luckily, I didn't succumb. I was very
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
very
I feel
close.
you. Yeah.
But I'm glad. But yeah, that would say that would be my hardest time. Like, I just was like, I'm not good at anything. I'm a terrible singer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a terrible actor. I'm never going to be hired again for anything else. I'm like, it was really bad. It was
I
really,
feel
I was like,
that.
and I just done this thing that was so magical and I got such great feedback. And then it
Yeah.
was like, it'll never happen again,
Right.
you
Right. Right.
know?
Right.
So,
And
you
let's,
know.
oh my God, let's explore that. So I am the type of person, I don't know why, and I'm starting to come down off of it. Like it's,
Mm-hmm.
but for a long time, I don't know if college just did something to me or whatever, but I have this thing to where it's like I always think people are mad at me. Like I don't know why, but it's so weird because it's
Yeah.
like so it's like something will happen or like, and I'm like, okay, like does this person have a problem with me now, or like did I
Mm-hmm.
do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? And then,
Yeah.
did I ruin my relationship with that person? Does this person think some type of way of me or whatever? And it's like it's so consistent, and it can be with like everybody and anybody. And then like recently, I was like, you know what? Like one time my friend sat me down and I was talking to her about it, and she was like, Cam, I don't mean for this to sound mean, but I don't think they care that much about you to be mad at you. And I was like, oh, like, you're right. Like, 'cause,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. Like, your ego and whatever will think that, like, these people are thinking about you all the time. It's like, bitch, ain't nobody worried about you. Like,
They have all these things
right
to
things
worry
to be
about.
worried
Yeah.
about. And you think that they mad at you or holding some grudge at you, And I was like, okay. So that was, like, step one of getting over that. And then the
Yeah.
step two was just, like, even if they are and they don't respect you enough to communicate about it with you, or you've been doing nothing but living your life and you're upsetting people, stay mad, bitch. Like that, like
That is a good friend.
yeah.
That
So
is a good friend.
that's where I was like thinking, I'm like, okay, like so that's how I'm like kind of like coming to, but it's just so interesting. So I want to know, like, what do you ever feel like that, or like, what do your insecurities
Yes.
do to you?
100%. Like, um, it just like makes me want to stay inside. Like the
Mm-hmm.
hardest part is that
Mm-hmm.
like when you feel that maybe a relationship or like
Mm-hmm.
something that an encounter you've had has
Mm-hmm.
like gone south. Like for me, where it goes is like, well, it's gonna ruin my entire career. Like that's it. Like my career is over.
Yeah.
Like well, this person hates me now, so like they'll never hire me for this, or like they'll just tell everyone that I'm a terrible person, and like that's
Yeah.
that. Like so, I might as well just stay inside, and then no
Right.
one.
I can piss nobody off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can piss nobody off, and it's fine.
Right.
And like it's it's and it's hard to like coax yourself out of those situations because you believe that it's so real and that
Mm-hmm.
it's so it's hard. But I think it's again like good friends. Like your friend was like, look,
Look,
this is
bitch.
the reality of the
Right.
situation.
Right.
And it's having those people that can ground you in those
Yeah.
moments when you feel like secure enough to tell them
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
what you're going through is fire.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how
Okay.
I feel about it at least. I don't
Okay.
know.
Let's get a little fun and I'll ask this question.
Okay.
And be honest, answer it wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Do you think money can buy you happiness? Like, as someone who was on Broadway for 4 years, like, and even still on Broadway, like, do you think that has the check and feeling like, are you happy? No. Okay.
Money can't buy you happiness.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's how I feel. I am happy. It took me a
Okay.
long time to get there.
Mhm.
Um, but I do not believe money can buy you happiness because there are a lot of, people out here who have money, have successful careers, and you
Mhm.
really talk to them about it and they're like, my
They
life
be
sucks.
like,
Or like you can tell that their attitude is not matching
mhm.
their
They're
success or
bacon.
the
Yeah.
so I don't think so, but I'm very happy. I mean, in this situation, not the best, but
Yeah.
I have my health, my parents
Mhm.
are healthy, my grandma
Mhm.
is healthy, my roommates are keeping me inspired,
Yeah.
so I have a lot of things, and the fact that I got to be in a rehearsal room with the people of this show is like
Mhm.
insane to me. Like
Right.
all of these people that I've looked up to,
Miss Patty
watch
LaPone, honey.
Miss Patty LaPone, Chris Sieber, Two of a Kind,
Yes.
Like, it's just crazy. And like the fact that the universe is granted me this opportunity to observe, and I love to observe. That's like my
Hmm.
favorite
Hmm.
thing to do, is to like learn from people who have done this for the long haul, because I
Right.
want to be in this for the long haul.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
like what's interesting is that all of these people are joyful as hell. They
Yeah.
are so happy with
Yeah.
themselves and the lives that they've created for themselves. I'm like, man, this is inspiring. Like, I can't wait to like
That's
have my
beautiful.
partner and to own
Yes.
my little house and da
Yes.
da 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 da. And I
Yeah.
was like, man,
Yeah.
like they have fully set it up. And so I don't know. I don't know if money has bought them happiness, but they've clearly created a life that um
It's worth
has
living.
made,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
has made them
Yeah.
happy. And
That's beautiful.
so I don't know. So I don't think so, but I am happy.
Okay. Well, okay. I feel that. I mean, it's a different thing for everybody.
Yeah.
So tell me, so like to end off, so tell me at the end of the day when you sit down
Hmm.
and whether it be today or in the future, at the end of all this, like what are you gonna think about and what are you gonna identify with like I was successful, I am successful, and I did it. Like I accomplished my dreams or dream.
Hmm. I think I like correlate this to like things that I put out into the, like, whatever
Hmm.
content
Hmm.
I create. And I'm like, for me, success is like looking back in 20 years and being like, man, like you did the most that you could do with what you had at the time. And you did
Oh,
it at the
yeah.
level of, um, with the level of like heightened stuff
Yeah.
that you could do it with,
Right,
like
right, right, right.
my goal is like anytime I put something out is like I want to make sure that I did it at the highest level possible with what I can do.
Yeah. No.
And if I can look back in 20 years and be like, man, you done did that,
Yes,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
did it the way that you wanted to do it, and like
Mhm.
nobody got in your way, and like you didn't get into your way, then like I'm gonna be like, she did that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's success to me, that like
Yeah.
I was able to be authentic to myself, or to the self that I was in that moment.
Right, right.
And yeah,
That was beautiful. I
I
love
think I
that.
can sit with that. I think I
Yeah.
can sit with that. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Oh wow, okay. Well, thank you, girl. That was it. That was
Oh,
it.
that's it. This was
Yeah,
so
it was.
fun.
I know sometimes I'm like, oh, I wanted to go on forever, but that was
Yeah.
perfect. But thank you so much, Kathryn, for joining me today. I
Thank you,
can't wait for
sis.
this is all over and I can go see you in company. I'm excited for that.
Oh, it's a
Um,
gag. It's a
yes.
gag.
Wait, one more question. One more question I want to
Yes,
talk to
yes,
you about.
yes.
Okay. Especially okay. So really, so quickly,
Yes.
um, what's your take on like body positivity and things like
Oh,
that? Because
yes.
being on Broadway and like having like it Broadway fit or whatever, having a Broadway body and being a bigger girl like ourselves, like
Yes. Uh-huh.
what does that mean for you and how have you navigated that?
When I was younger, I was so blind. um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that helped me a little bit,
Hmm.
because I was just like, I'm the fiercest thing on this block. Like, no
Period.
one knows what's
Right.
coming. I'm
Right.
about to slay, slay, slay.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's me.
and like I feel like that blindness like helped me, get
Yes, yeah,
along, which is
yeah.
good. But and then that wore off, and I was like, oh my god, everyone is like
Fuck.
stick thin and like has muscles and is like
Yeah,
looking fierce. But I was
yeah.
like, no, no, no. Like the reason why I have been successful thus far is because they wanted me and what I was bringing to the table. So I have to remember that like this is enough. And I sometimes you have to push people a little bit, because
Right,
sometimes they can't see it. But I'm
right,
like, I only push for things that I know that I think I can do well.
right, right, right,
So
right,
like I'm not gonna like push something that I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
yeah,
I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, but
right, right.
something that I'm like, oh, I feel that I could portray this role or can be in this ensemble or whatever and do a good job. I think
Hmm.
there's no reason that my body shouldn't be represented in that.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
like it is hard. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie, like the rehearsal process for company was like a little like was hard a little bit for me because I
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm.
man, there's like all these really beautiful people around. I'm
Mhm.
definitely on the larger end of the
Mhm.
company. But I was like, I have
Mhm.
to remember, like, they hired me because I have the skill set to do the
Right.
job.
Right.
If they didn't think I didn't have that skill set, like, I wouldn't be there. And
Right.
so it was hard for me not to be like, well, maybe I need to go to the gym every day, and like
Yeah.
maybe I
Yeah.
really need to like.
Yeah.
It's like, no, 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 no. Do the job. You're good,
Yeah.
you know?
Isn't
And
that
like
so
they
interesting? Like,
yeah.
like that we equate all of that to just being in a room, and it's like, oh, like that, and that goes through your mind.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
And I'm like,
what my weight got to do with this? Bitch, I'm just saying.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
It has
Right.
nothing. So, you know, yeah. So
Right.
it was like, an up and down. I was like, no, girl, you need to focus on your material.
Right.
You got 3 roles you need to learn. So, like,
Right.
let's get that down because this other thing, it doesn't matter because
Right.
they hired you for you. You got this.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
so yeah, it's an up and down battle.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I feel
Yeah.
that. Thank you for sharing that with us and coming on today, Kathryn. I love you so much.
I love you. Oh
I
my
am a
God.
fan. I am a fan forever. So thank you, Boo, and have a good rest of your quarantine, and I'll see you at
Thank
the end of
you.
it.
Yes.
But
Mwah.
yes, bye. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Okay, y'all. That was that. And I had a great time, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope there were some takeaways. I'll post this on YouTube later. Love you so much. And join me tomorrow. I will have Navy Chandler at 2, and I will also have Salome at 6 p.m. We got a double hitter tomorrow, so I'm so excited. So